Hello, Shally. Today we are going to be playing Minecraft while talking about autistic masking. I did a stream today where we talked about autism and it got me in a very psychological, autism-y mood. So I've decided what better way to indulge in this mood than talk about it while playing Minecraft. I'm excited. I was having the actual worst time with my mic settings on stream, so hopefully it sounds good. Fingers crossed. Alright. What's going on here? Okay. So, the agenda for today, autistic masking. Somebody, I believe it was a Bodhi, asked a question about autistic masking on stream. And so I got to talk about it a little bit, but I still have more words that have gone unspoken. I really like this topic. It's quite fascinating. It's quite necessary to... This music is really loud. Holy. That's because the master volume was at 100%. Okay. As I was saying, it's important to educate people on it because not knowing about masking is very detrimental to somebody who masks a lot, like myself. I was thinking, what better way to start this topic than talk about my own experience? Oh, and also to preface that I'm not a professional, and I'm just speaking from the limited research that I've done and also my own experience. Anyway, so I went under the radar, undiagnosed, unsuspected for the first 19 years of my life. Nobody knew I had autism, nobody knew I had ADHD. So I did a ton of unintentional masking. Yes, masking can be unintentional, it can be subconscious. When you grow up, and as a child, when you are authentic, you're your true self, and that receives you weird looks and people not wanting to hang out with you and people thinking that you're weird, that teaches you, that reinforces a lesson of don't be yourself. You're weird and people won't accept you for who you are. So that leads one to mask, even if it's unintentionally, even if it's an automatic response, an automatic process. Like me, I didn't know that I was autistic. I didn't even know what masking was. I was just acting in a way that I thought would get me the most social approval. And I would assume that that happens to other people as well. Oh, cows. Whoa. Usually I play OG Minecraft for these videos, but I was thinking I want to try something new. So I'm on a random version. I picked 1.21.5. Hopefully it's fun. I'm super unk, so I'm only familiar with super OG Minecraft. I have not seriously played Minecraft in the past probably 5 years, maybe even more. I'm unk. Anyway, many people, diagnosed or not, those with autism and or ADHD have grown up masking, whether that be intentional masking, unintentional, or a mix of both, which I would guess is usually the case. Hold on, why don't I define masking, just in case you don't know? Masking is exactly what it sounds like. The name and the definition are kind of intuitive. The name makes the definition a bit intuitive. It's... Here, let me pull up an actual definition. Neurodivergent masking is a term that refers to the way in which people who are neurodivergent may hide their symptoms in order to fit in with society. So, somebody who is neurodivergent, in this case autistic, changing their behavior, whether that be intentionally or unintentionally, to fit in with society. That is what masking is. And growing up, I masked so much you have no idea. I was not true to myself in the slightest. The people that were friends with me were not friends with me. They were friends with this grotesque abomination of what my true personality actually is, where I just try to tape it up with these neurotypical behaviors, trying my best to seem normal, but also some aspects of my true self slipping through the cracks. So it was a train wreck. I make it sound worse than it actually was, but it resulted in me coming across as awkward. I was always hesitant to say anything. I found conversations to be extremely difficult because I had learned that anything I say is going to be weird. So I should just wait for the other person to talk because I'm afraid of saying the wrong thing. I started out in this corporeal realm as a pretty normal child. Like, I would initiate conversation. I would say what was on my mind. But the more I aged, the more reserved I became because I was conditioned to think if you say something, other people are going to judge you. So I started to just talk less. And by the end of high school, I was really shy. Aside from a couple of trusted people, I was very shy. I didn't often speak out of line. I would wait for other people to talk first. If I, let's say, went and got coffee with a friend, it would probably look like me listening to her talk about gossip, you know, drama in her life, and me nodding my head and being like, oh wow, and asking questions about it. Because I was afraid of contributing. I was afraid of stepping outside of line. I had been taught that it's safe to listen to the other person, which is good. Like, it's always good to be a good, attentive listener. But I was taking it too far. I was afraid to say anything. Even in my responses, even as I was responding to something I was being told about somebody else, I was afraid of saying the wrong thing. I was just so timid, analyzing every single word that came out of my mouth. With text, I would rewrite it 10 billion times and think, what if they think I'm weird? What if I'm saying it wrong? Ooh. What if they judge me for saying this? And I would worry so much masking going on. And in case you couldn't infer, yes, masking is unhealthy. Chronic, intense masking is not good for you. Now, of course, I have heard the statement that I do agree with, that there's a time and a place for masking. I believe that, for example, in the workplace, sometimes masking can give you advantages. Sometimes altering your behavior in specific scenarios can be beneficial to you. But my point is that doing it for a long time, doing it consistently, doing it extremely to a high degree is not healthy. Not only is it not healthy, but you aren't being authentic. Those in your life who are close with you, do they actually know the real you? Or have they befriended this version of yourself, this part that you play? That's something that I like to think about a lot. And that's something that I reflect on when I'm selecting who I'm friends with. I don't want, well, okay, that sounds egotistical. I don't mean like, you're not good enough for me. Yeah, step aside. I'm gonna find better people. I don't mean that at all. I mean that it's very important to be yourself and unmask. Don't try and play this part to please other people. Oh my gosh. When it comes to making friends, making relationships especially, you do not want to get into a romantic relationship with somebody that doesn't even know you. You don't, if you want a healthy relationship, that is. If you want somebody to care deeply about you and have this genuine deep connection with you, wouldn't it be harmful to mask your true identity and put on this mask and, okay, wholly redundant, mask your true identity, force these behaviors just to seem normal? At that point, wouldn't it almost seem like they're dating this character that you just happen to play? One thing that I believe very firmly is that we should always be ourselves. In fact, this applies to everyone and not just autistic people and ADHD. But I think it's more prevalent to ADHD and autistic people simply because they tend to mask more. However, the belief that I have that is so strong is that we should all strive to be ourselves and then just let life guide the right people to us. As long as you are being authentic and putting yourself out there, you're going to find people that accept you for who you are. And that feels so much better and is so much healthier for you than faking a personality, just trying to make people like you. Which is what I did in high school. I was not being authentic. I was trying to act in whatever way would get the most people to like me. I didn't want them to judge me. I didn't want them to think I was weird. So I would mask and I would fake my behavior, whether it be intentional or unintentional. I was not being authentic. I was just so scared of social rejection. To me, there was no worse feeling than being in a conversation and saying something that's awkward. And then there's that silence, and you feel like the other person is judging you, and you just want to crawl out of your skin. I hated that feeling. So I masked and I tried to fit in, but I wasn't happy. I found friends, but I wasn't happy. And what I discovered after learning I was autistic, learning about masking, I discovered that I could actually find happiness and find people that accept me for who I am. I thought it was impossible. I thought I was just really weird and awkward and I was doomed to be alone forever. But that's not true at all. What I found is that by being myself and pursuing what makes me happy, which is drawing, content creation, psychology, by being true to myself and leaning into the things that actually make me happy rather than masking, I found people that accepted me for who I was. I found a community of people online that actually like me and watch my content of me just talking. Like, whoa. And 3 years ago, I was so shy that I would say like 7 words at a hangout, just so scared that I'm gonna say the wrong thing and the other person's gonna judge me and it's gonna be awkward and oh gosh, just so worried about how other people perceived me. There's so much freedom in letting go of that worry of, oh my gosh, how are they gonna perceive me? Are they gonna judge me? If you are yourself, of course, don't go out there and be evil. I'm not saying to just act on every impulse. If you are yourself and you're a decent member of society and somebody still doesn't like you, then you don't have to stress about that. If you are being a decent member of society and being authentic and somebody thinks that your interest is weird, you don't gotta hang out with them. Go find someone that shares that interest and thinks it's cool. Go find someone that doesn't share that interest but still respects it. My point is, I have found in my own personal experience, that is, I'm not saying this is a fact or a law, but I've found in my own personal experience that it is extremely freeing, it's liberating, it feels wonderful to be yourself unapologetically and let those people come to you as long as you're putting yourself out there. Unfortunately, staying in bed all day doesn't do that. I know, I don't like that fact either, but sadly, staying inside and never talking to people will not allow you to meet those people that will accept you for who you are. So in my own personal experience, what I found to be the most, oh my gosh, what I found to be the most helpful and the most joyful and whimsical is really leaning into myself. I, upon learning that I was autistic, leaned into the things that I was interested in. I used to stifle them. I would never talk about my interests. I used to be obsessed with shows. Like, I used to be obsessed, oh god, with Danganronpa. Yeah. I'm sorry if that just gave you like a Winter Soldier moment. But I never talked with anyone about it. I would never info dump. Not at all. I would keep it all to myself. Because that's weird. And people wouldn't care about it. And I would always pretend to care about the things that other people cared about. Because I wanted to fit in. I was more worried about how other people perceived me, and less worried about the fact that I was literally playing a part, and what's the point of putting so much energy into cultivating this friendship if I'm not even being myself? Because like I said before, at that point, they weren't friends with me. They were friends with a character I was playing. And when I found out I was autistic, it felt a bit easier to be like, oh, that's why I have all these weird and intense interests. And then I leaned into them and it felt amazing. Not only did I lean into them, I met people who also liked the same shit. And I could bond with them and it was awesome and they didn't judge me and I could even be a little weird. I could be a little weird and I could unmask and they didn't judge me for it. Crazy how that works. And I found that the more I just be true to myself and discover my true identity, because it did take some work. It's not like, oh my goodness. It's not an overnight thing. Another thing to keep in mind is that it's all about baby steps and that unmasking is actually hard. Believe it or not, it's often difficult to unmask, especially if you've been masking your entire life. But one thing that I found is just taking baby steps, paying attention to my interests, my actual behavior, you know, still trying to be a decent member of society. I'm not just letting go of everything, letting myself act however the hell I want. Being a decent member of society, but simultaneously being authentic, not trying to hide parts of myself that I think are weird or socially unacceptable. That led me to so much more happiness and fulfillment in general, but also especially in the social sphere. I was never really happy with my social life. I mean, it was okay. Again, like I said, I had friends. They were wonderful. I'm grateful for them. But I didn't feel good. I had this cognitive dissonance because I wasn't being myself. I was masking so much. It's crazy. If you saw a conversation between me and one of my old friends, you would actually not even believe it was me. You would not believe it was the same person. I don't think I have spoken the number of words in this video in my entire life to one of my old friends. Like, I am so much more open and talkative and even extroverted. It's crazy how unmasking made me more extroverted. I mean, it actually makes sense. It's because I was less afraid of how people would perceive me, and therefore I'm less afraid to say something that's on my mind, therefore more words are coming out of my mouth, and I'm more energetic about it. So I suppose that does make sense. Holy... I'm out of torches. Oh! Oh my gosh, I'm scared, I'm scared. I kind of forgot I was playing Minecraft. I kind of got in the zone. Where did my 6? Oh. Okay, okay. I'm so scared. I have no armor. I'm actually just raw dogging it. Gulp. I always worry that I'm gonna say something that's not nice, that I'm gonna say something that will offend people. So please, if I said anything that made you raise an eyebrow, please let me know. I strive to be open-minded and to acknowledge if I fucked up and said something that was just incorrect or misleading or harmful. So please, if you think I said anything that raised an eyebrow, made you scratch your head in confusion and concern, feel free to let me know. I am always passionate about academic discussion, and I love talking about autism. You know me. The moral of the story is, it is very beneficial to be yourself. It's not easy, it's not always easy, but it is beneficial to be authentic and to find people that accept you for who you are, rather than trying to change yourself to please people who wouldn't accept your true, authentic self. And I think I'll call it a day at that. Let me know if you would like me to continue this series. I had a lot of fun. I've done this with the whole Arabic series, and I decided, hey, I like playing Minecraft. Why don't I also do this with psychology, which is my biggest special interest? So please, let me know if you have any psychological topics that you would like me to yap about, because I love this so much, and it's genuinely so fun and whimsical, and I appreciate you being here, Twin. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful day. Hold on. Alright, I'm back. I hope you have a wonderful day. Make sure to be kind to yourself, and take care of yourself. And follow my Twitch. Okay? Okay. Bye, Twin! Mwah.